Action. Shout out to Zara. But anyways, so it's been a while and I still got a tag video that I'm in the process of editing, but I found myself watching a video tonight and I was like, I want to make a video. So that's what I'm gonna do. So, what's this video even about? I got a lot of things on my mind, especially as it relates to archery, but just life in general. And I figured, why not log it and get it in the books? So, anybody that's ever watched this channel, watched any of my videos, understands how much I actually enjoy archery and like actually shooting my bow. And I haven't been able to shoot like at all. And like, there was a time in my life that would have bothered me. Now, let's take it back. It's only been about 4 years of me actually shooting archery, but me and my pursuit of like sport and athletic, that was always like my mindset to be the best I can be at whatever I was doing. And so like this kind of filled a niche for me in regards to my overall mindset of like that competitive edge. And so like learning how to like step back from football was a big transition for me. Just for anybody that's ever been dedicated for to something for that long, from middle school, high school, college, and a little bit of professional in the arena league, nothing super major, so don't get it twisted. But at the end of the day, it was still a time in my life that I was fully dedicated for a long period of time for one thing. And it was just a time for a transition. Now, that brings me back to the archery thing in the last 5 years, especially as it relates to the competition side of things. Because I still hunt, still am gonna make sure I find time to feed my family. But when it comes down to the skill of archery, it's something that I've taken a lot of like high level pride in and being really, really good at. It's what actually spurred on the channel. And why? Because I noticed a lot of people weren't shooting and actually keeping and showing their scores, showing the targets and being like, hey, this is what I'm doing. But I had to put this on the back burner because I've had a lot of goals in my life and a lot of things that I've been wanting to develop and build along the way with my business. If you watched my first video, I talked about that's actually the other reason why I started all these videos. And so I've had to put a lot of my content creation and a lot of my archery pursuits of the professional world on the back burner. And for a long time, that was hard mentally for me to even process the idea of that because again, I took all of my football passions and threw it into a bow. And I was like, this is what I want to be really, really good at. So it's been maybe once every 2 weeks I've been able to shoot. But I mean, that is what it is. It's just part of life. But I have a few other things I want to highlight along the way. But I think the biggest thing that I'm really, really excited about is the piece that I've actually found and understanding that prioritizing all of these things along the way has just been super vital for me so that I don't run myself into the ground. It's kind of that idea of like, be where your feet are and understand what it is that you're actually pursuing. So we'll kind of highlight that a little bit more in a second. So that being said, that's 3 hours in and we're gonna keep on having some fun with shooting, but I think the biggest thing that I really wanted to highlight, as I already said, was just the prioritizing. Like for a long time, I always felt bad about doing a lot of things. Like even in college, I was FCA president, I had a job, I was a full-time athlete and a full-time scholar. Student trying to make sure that I graduated. And at the end of the day, like trying to balance all of those things, I always felt like maybe I was doing too much and that's why it kind of stunted my athletic career. That's neither here nor there. I think the biggest thing was just making sure I learned a lesson from that. And I think the biggest lesson that I learned along the way was I have to learn how to actually prioritize and be at peace with what I choose to prioritize above the other thing. At that time, everything was, I need to get an A on everything. I just need to be full speed, full sprint ahead every single time that I took a chance. With all that being said, there was a big part of my life that I just did not know how to balance, which was all of those priorities. But as I'm learning, just as my life continues as a 33-year-old, 34, I think I'm 33. But what I'm learning along the way is the fact that, hey, I really love this sport archery, but at the end of the day, does it get a high priority? No. what does get a high priority? Obviously my job, the thing that pays the bills. And then I have some other passion projects as it comes to my own business. How do I develop that, which has taken up a crap ton of my time this summer, which has been all positive, all good. But again, along the way, that would have thrown me in a spiral where I would have been so frustrated at myself. Man, I went from shooting 100 arrows a day to not being able to shoot at all. And then it's like, man, like what the heck is going on? Like I want to keep on doing the thing that like brings me joy. And then I had to bring it back to reminding myself that no, like providing is what brings me joy. Like making sure that my family is okay. And I think sometimes we get in these like, or at least for me, I can only speak for me. There's a lot of times I feel like I'm like, well, if I say I'm doing this, I got to do it with all that I got all the time. But reality is sometimes my best doesn't always look like, all right, let me break it down like this. Like if I think about battery life, sometimes my job might take 70% of my battery life. But I need to give the 30% that I do have when I get home to my family. Like I need to know that I give the rest to them at that time. And so it's not the idea of always saying that I'm going to be at 100 and at optimal performance at all times. Like that's just going to be a lie. I think a lot of things in the sport world, people think that I can peak and just always be at my best. Anybody that's lived any type of life knows that there's just ebbs and flows, ups and downs of life that just prevents you from being able to live in that optimal mindset all the time. But I don't want to ramble, but I think to drive the point home, it's just reminding myself that no, like before I get into that sticky situation, before I get into the moment of life that's like feeling really, really heavy, I have to have done the work to prioritize the things and saying like, this is number one, my family or my relationship with God. Like that's number one, that is all encompassing. Then my family and then others. And then that's when I get to find myself in that others bunch. I was explaining this to a student of mine that came back after graduation. And I was like, you know what, like this is actually a really good reminder for myself along the way. And it happened actually at the start of summer because, you know, all the seniors come back after they've graduated and then they make their rounds and talk to all their teachers. So it's actually really beneficial on another note to be a teacher, to be reminded of all these things that are going on in people's lives. And so, yeah, I just think the biggest thing for me is just trying to make sure that I keep the things prioritized so that one, I actually enjoy the thing when I get to do it, but it doesn't like weigh heavy mentally on me when it's like, man, I want to shoot my bow. Well, I just didn't have time. Tonight, I got some time. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna maximize the time and enjoy the sport of archery, while also I have so many other thoughts on the archery community, especially the YouTube community. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that I say a lot, there's a few things that I've actually been testing out along the way, understanding that my shooting has been very limited, but yeah, I just think it's super important just to prioritize so that you can enjoy the sport when you get the chance. I think sometimes we get in the idea of the Cam Hanes, no, you got to shoot every day, run every day. This is just what you got to do. And it's like, man, if it doesn't fall in the priorities of your own personal health and like lifting or running or whatever you choose to keep yourself healthy, and archery just gets the back burner, then it just got the back burner. But it's understanding like you got to do the little things along the way to make sure that it all stays in line, meaning you prioritize before the big things happen. And then when they do happen, you get to sit back and say, okay, but I've already thought through this. I'm not going to be mad that I don't get to shoot my bow today. And I know that sounds so trivial and like crazy to even say that as an adult. So like if this doesn't connect with you, I totally get it. But for me, in my mind and the way that I think as like, go, 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 just be the best, like this really was super important for me to come to grips with and be at peace with. Not even because of like a YouTube thing. I genuinely just, it's the way my mind operates. And so, yeah, hopefully that's helps in some ways maybe. Maybe it's just a journal entry for me. So when I start losing sight of those priorities and I want to put things like maybe video games or my bow, the things that are like the fun hobbies over the actual priorities, maybe I'll be able to watch this and remind myself that no, there's still way more important things than the things that make you happy in the moment, but trying to remind myself of the joyful things, whether it be sacrificial along the way, but understanding it's still at the end of the day, it's for the bigger picture. So all that being said, stay tuned. We got a few other things I want to talk about, but that was like a long-winded thing that's been laying on my heart, and I'm not even sure if it logically added up. I know it makes sense in my head, but let me know. Let me know if it actually connects. He said, let's keep on shooting. Perfect. No. Oh, it's 30. My bad. I was making a video. You're good. I literally walked out. I didn't realize 30 minutes had passed. I walked out at 8 and I was like, oh, I have 15 minutes. I'm going to shoot real quick. Then it took me longer to set the camera up. Well, this brings me to my other point when all those things are actually prioritized and balanced accordingly. For me, it's actually led to more consistent shooting when I do get to shoot. Now, does that mean that I'm still progressing and being like really fine-tuned all the time? I can't really say because I don't have enough arrows through it to really say like, no, it's like legitimately making me better. But one thing that I do know is the fact that when I get to shoot, I'm at peace. And I think that that goes like completely overlooked when it comes down to archery. We talk about the mental game and your mental approach. Sometimes I think we get so caught up in the weeds. I was just watching a video by Tim Connor, and then he was like, man, yeah, I thought it was like bad to break the rules and do the things the way I want to do it. And then I'm like, you know what? No, I am going to do it. Where he was talking about his first axis adjustment, which at the end of the day, I've definitely always been a proponent of mess with your bow, like mess up, do things the wrong way. But it's like sometimes I was listening to him talk about like balancing the bubble and like being so in his head about that. It's like sometimes we get so caught up in our head and so out of whack, so out of peace with just the idea of just trying to be consistent and shooting our bow and not how to be more consistent, just being more consistent and just letting the feel and letting all those things kind of get in line. I think never can go untouched. Like we can't not speak about that enough, because at the end of the day, if you're actually at peace, when you have life things in order, yes, a lot of us talk about archery being our place of peace, but actually like coming into it with a little bit of peace, I think goes a long way to actually executing really well. Just like when people talk about competing at a very high level, a lot of those guys just have the experience so they don't get the anxiety. But a lot of times, even in our adult world, we can bring in those anxieties into our actual performances, which then also go a long way to affecting us negatively because we have too many thoughts, too many brain, if you will, that just start convoluting the things that we're trying to execute, because thoughts outside of just focusing on the shot at hand, looking at the target that you want to hit. Oh, well, should I be shooting right now? Or should I be at home with my family? Or, man, did I do that? All the things I was supposed to do at work. I think all of those things play a bigger role than we actually realize. And I think it's just really important for us to keep grips of all of that and saying like, you know what? I shoot when I can and I enjoy it when I can. And I'm not gonna let any influence or anything along the way guilt me into thinking I need to shoot my bow more than I'm supposed to be doing it, but also shooting it as much as I can because I actually enjoy it. I think that's just really important. And I know for me, my shooting has been really clean, which I think actually goes to a few different things. I finally got a bow that can go out to 32 inches. And then I'm also playing with a different grip, but that's a conversation for another note. But I truly think that there's something with just being at peace with whatever's going on in life and just doing it to the best that you can when you can, and then leaving the rest up to the birds. I think that's it for this video. I think I rambled on enough, so I'm gonna shoot these last 6 arrows and we'll call it a night. Man, I guess we'll finish on just shooting, but I'll say kind of sign out at this point. But just remember to be better one arrow at a time, one day at a time. And I guess at this point, don't forget to prioritize the things that are actually more important. And when you get the chance to shoot, make sure you shoot and enjoy the sport of archery one arrow at a time. Oh, other thing, Tim, I appreciate that video. I thought it was well done. Actually experimenting and actually shooting your bow and bringing your own experiences. I think that has been a lost art in this archery YouTube, at least YouTube community, which is about the only community I have because I don't really get the time to be around the archery shop. So I appreciate you actually experimenting before the camera and then bring your experiences to the camera for whatever that's worth. Keep it up. Low left. Be better. Peace.